Hi everyone, last night episode 4 of How I Met Your Father aired, and let's jump right into the recap and the Easter eggs from the episode. The episode was entitled Dirty 30. It's based on our main character Sophie turning 30 years old. Dirty 30 is a pretty common saying that I guarantee was either said to you or will be said to you when you turn 30, and you'll have to fake laugh at it or pretend that it's clever in any sense. But not only is it not, but it really doesn't mean anything. The show at least connects this saying to Christina Aguilera's song Dirty, which is the theme party that Sophie wants to have for her birthday. The night before this party, she goes on her first date with Drew. She has a great time, but senses that they're at different levels when it comes to their maturity. So she tells him about the birthday party, and once he agrees to attend, it makes her change the theme of her party. She attempts to change the party by making it cocktail attire, by buying books and making her look a little bit more sophisticated, as well as making cocktails rather than just having kegs of beer. During her party, we have a Friends ripoff of a plot line where they are hosting a party and their heater breaks, so the apartment gets extremely hot. This storyline ends with Sophie and Drew on Sophie's Queen's apartment roof kissing. In How I Met Your Mother, obviously the roof was a very important location, so I'm curious to see if this is going to be a reoccurring set. Also remember, Lily's apartment was in Queens, just like Sophie's is, and we know that Ted and Marshall's, and now Sid and Jesse's apartment is on the Upper West Side. Now, if you're paying attention to the episodes that have aired so far, you'll remember that in episode 1, it ended with Kim Cattrall telling her son in the future that the first episode was the night she met his father. This made us think that it was either Jesse, Ian, or I guess potentially Sid if something were to go wrong with his relationship with Hannah. However, at the end of episode 3, the show did something that allowed itself a bit more wiggle room. It showed us that Drew was also at Sid's engagement party. This means that Sophie could end up with anyone she met that night, on or off camera. Which is a bit cheap, to be honest, but it does broaden the potential pool of who could be the father, and certainly will help this show run longer. The next storyline is Charlie and Valentina, which honestly, in my opinion, was a bit silly. Valentina doesn't see them as a couple, and Charlie does. So upon hearing that Valentina wants to keep it more casual with Charlie, Charlie attempts to make her jealous by hitting on other women at the party. As this back and forth happens, it actually ends up turning Valentina on a little bit, so they continue to do this throughout the night before they decide to get together and are caught having sex in the shower during the party by Drew and Sophie. Finally, we have what I believe is the most compelling storyline of this episode, Jesse and Ellen. We find out that they actually don't have the same last name. Jesse kept his father's last name after their parents got divorced, which is Walker, and Ellen, who went with her mother after the divorce, ended up taking her mother's maiden name, which was Gilbert. We also see that Jesse doesn't know much about Ellen because they were separated at such a young age. So not only did Jesse not know that she took her mother's last name, but also that she was allergic to wine, or that she worked at a produce farm. Ellen took this personally, but Jesse explains that he was young when their parents got divorced. And he was put in a really tough spot of choosing to leave his father alone or going with his mother. I'm excited to see this relationship grow, and at the end of this episode, Jesse tries to teach Ellen how to swipe her Metro card in the subway, and to be honest, there is a bit of a technique to this, but what's funny is they end up both not being able to do it, which is followed by another How I Met Your Mother reference where Jesse jumps the turnstile and so does Ellen. In How I Met Your Mother, when Ted jumps the turnstile in order to get onto the train after Barney ran the marathon, he ends up getting tackled by police officers and therefore gets a ticket and a court appearance, which ends up causing some hilarity with a job opportunity that he had. One other very important call out from this episode for How I Met Your Mother is Jesse attempts to introduce Ellen to a woman at the party, and he starts the conversation with, "Have you met Ellen? which obviously was a big call to Barney and how he used to introduce Ted to women, specifically in that first episode when he met Robin. Before we wrap the video, I do want to call out that I saw another owl in the girls' apartment. If you remember from last week's video, I noticed there was an owl on the pillow in the living room, as well as an owl toy or little statue in Sophie's room. Now we see a third one, which appears to be a cookie jar on the windowsill in their kitchen. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode and the season so far. Have I missed any How I Met Your Mother Easter eggs that you caught? With only 6 episodes remaining in this first season, do you think we'll learn any more about Sophie's mother or her last name? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show so far. That's all for me. I'm Sean. This is Splash Page. Thanks so much for checking us out. Follow along if you like How I Met Your Father, as I'll be doing weekly videos. Alright, well, take it easy, YouTube.